it's Cindy's choice to be brave and make a difference. Cindy here. And thank you so much for being here for episode 7 of the Cindy's Choice story. And I kind of left off with I'm in my 20s. It's the Dallas, Texas, high volume nightclubs, upscale nightclubs. It's the fast life. It's the fast life. And, that it was a lot of fun. I worked a lot though. And that's, but that was fun. That was fun. Again, like I said before, I was popular. I was a, center of influence. When you managed one of these high volume nightclubs, I mean, this was back when people stood in line to get into clubs. You had to have a VIP pass to get past the line. So people wanted to know me, and it was pretty cool. Yet, it was the fast life, and I wasn't prepared for that. Yet here I was already again. Like I said, I always topped out in a business so quickly. I'd go from waitress to bartender to supervisor, and before I know it, I'm one of the managers in my early mid-20s at these high volume nightclubs. And like I said, the big parties and fur coats and being popular and making good money and having a fancy car. It was pretty overwhelming. And as I sit here and think and process with you, I'm so thankful because I did get pulled in some directions that I'd have rather not gone, but it could have been so much worse. And what I remember a lot about that time, I was popular. I had the nice car. I had the great job. I had everything that everyone around me wanted. But I remember very clearly being confused. I was so confused of how I had everything that we're supposed to acquire and achieve at such an early age. Yet I remember the emptiness. I remember this confusion from feeling so empty and not recognizing what was missing. And again, I would keep topping out and then kind of getting bored and wanting to go to the next thing. But kind of what happened, and again, I'm just kind of processing and thinking this through with you. Like right now, I don't spend much time thinking about my past. I'm fast forward, focused on the positive and not even focused on the now, but focused on the next. But as I think back and think about it, there was this kind of emptiness. I mean, I was having fun. It was a fun lifestyle. Oh my gosh, I was a major shopaholic. Oh gosh, that just came to thought. For some reason, making money, credit cards were coming like crazy. And I did not know how to manage money. I lived in poverty all my life, like I'd shared before, never got to shop. Never, even when I was working full time, paying rent to my mother, I never had much spending money to spend on myself and so forth. So I think that would have been one of my first addictions. Maybe I could resist the cocaine, but I could not resist the shopping. And Dallas, Texas, we got Neiman Marcus. So that I remember making a lot of money, but I didn't hold on to any money. I had no kind of thought about securing my future. And what's crazy too, here I was in my 20s and I didn't think about marriage or having a family or anything like that. Did not cross my mind. But again, too, very, very popular. I mean, I had the pursuers and, in that atmosphere and that environment, of course, and in that role, of course. But I guess it didn't help either that Dallas, Texas, I don't know if it's still the case, but at some point it had the highest demographic or population of singles per capita in the whole United States. So, I was super pursued. And I guess I need to back up a little bit because I'd mentioned a boyfriend that helped me buy, he didn't buy it, I bought it, but he kind of helped me seek out a good car to purchase and so forth like that. And that had been my first ever kind of real boyfriend, I'd had, dates in high school and went to proms and all that kind of stuff. But we dated for over a year. And, even with him, the thought of marriage or a future or nothing ever came to mind. But when we broke up, I remember something that had really caught me off guard. And I'm glad I'm thinking this through now. In that, I think this was my first kind of recognition. I didn't recognize it at the time, or of this like feeling this incredible rejection. And this was what's crazy is, I didn't feel like I was in love. I didn't it wasn't like that. It wasn't, again, I'm still just processing all this, but just the disconnect. I think that's when I first kind of felt this kind of rejection. And of course, that's what I'd had all my life from, my own mother. And I think it triggered something in me. And me being so new to, dating and an adult life and so forth, I remember kind of thinking, it's almost like it clicked in my brain. Oh, if that's how it's done, I just remember not wanting to feel that again. And then it's not like I intentionally went out, I'm going to go have a lot of boyfriends. I was already in that environment. And, I got the tall blonde Texas thing going on. So it just wasn't, and being in that environment, there were lots of pursuers and lots of dating. And it was crazy because I'm processing right here with you. So you got to bear with me. I remember that, it's like I would set up where I had someone I was dating, and I always had the two backup guys that were still kind of in the mix, but kind of had the number one guy that I was paying the most attention to. Now, I wasn't sleeping with all these guys because, it was that, but I would, after that feeling of rejection, in hindsight, I see that I was kind of protecting myself from that happening again. And I remember several times I'd be dating someone and some kind of indication, any indication that things were going to be, peachy keen anymore, I was done. I was gone. I was out. And, I can remember with several different times, running into that person down the road and them kind of looking at me kind of strange and kind of really asked me, what happened with us? I mean, what, where did you go? And, I remember kind of not knowing how to respond. And, now, of course, in hindsight, I'm seeing that, for one thing, I didn't understand relationships. I didn't know how to connect. And it's crazy because I was this Pollyanna. I wasn't just popular with the guys. I was a popular, likable, charismatic, fun person. I loved everybody and wanted to include everybody. And, was just great fun to be around. Yet, I had so many friends and I loved everyone, but there was no connection. And, it took me a long time to realize I didn't know how to connect. I didn't know how to connect. And it's so, and that happened several times. I'd be dating somebody, any indication, something might go wrong. Bam, they're out. Next one's in. So therefore, a season, I was kind of in this cycle. Well, at some point I started getting kind of exhausted and not understanding why. And I kept, I would top out at this job and go to the next job and top out at that job and go. I was doing the same things with jobs as I kind of did with relationships. And I just, it's like I was looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for. And at some point, and like I said, I wasn't there was a degree of promiscuity there, but at the same time, I wasn't sleeping with all these guys, but I was sleeping with, at some point I'd slept with enough guys that I was not feeling very good about myself. And I didn't know, I was in this environment, I was in this role, and I could tell that's not where I wanted to be. It wasn't how I wanted to conduct my life, but I didn't know what else to do. I did not know what else to do. So I was very, very glad when one of the clubs I was working with, they wanted me to go open a club in another city. They're like, we want you to go and handle the flip. They called it a flip back then. They try to get a club. They figured a club had like a 2-year lifespan, and then they'd want to do some kind of new theme, and they'd want to get that turned around as quickly as possible. So they would send me out to open these clubs, which was a lot of fun because I was there part of the construction, hiring all the new employees, and I would, be there for the grand opening in the first couple of months to get everybody lined out. Then, I could go on to the next thing. And I was so relieved. Yes, I'll go. And, because looking, I was trying to get away from something that I didn't know I was trying to get away from. Because again, this is in hindsight. I didn't understand what I was doing wrong or why I felt like I felt when I was so popular and it looked like I had everything that, we're supposed to want. And so I go off to Tyler, Texas to open this club. And oh my gosh, I got popular there real quick. And again, it's like, it wasn't just my role. I'm a real likable person. I'm fun. And, it's like, that would get me in trouble a lot too, because I'm nice to everyone. And there's that certain demographic of men that think you like them just because you're nice to them. And I was nice to everybody. But, so I go out there to open up this new club, and all of a sudden, here come the pursuer, and it's kind of overwhelming because, I was vulnerable. I didn't have any kind of guidance or understand protection. Are you kidding? It was the opposite. I was handed over to predators, when I was very young. And I haven't even mentioned near all the incidents of things that had happened along those lines when I was young. And, before I remember there was one guy that was heavily pursuing me, and people were telling me to be careful, like he was the head of the cowboy mafia or something like that. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is just too much. And I love the work. And at this point, I was in full blown management. They were giving me a percentage of the clubs. They wanted me there. I had like a personal assistant that did all my shopping and everything for me. I mean, it was like my Mustang, all that kind of stuff. And then, here comes this contractor that was remodeling the new club, and totally different, not, one of these Dallas suits. Here came, this contractor in a pickup truck, that could do things with his hands. And, it was just like, this is intriguing. It was different, and that's what you do. It's like when you're running from something, but you don't know what to run to. And, that ended up being a relationship. And, and again, in hindsight, I realized I was just tired. I needed what was happening to stop. And I didn't know how to stop it because I didn't understand. I just knew it didn't feel good, yet it was confusing because I had what everybody wanted. And, in hindsight, I recognized that I wanted something different. I wanted out. Well, but even we, as a couple, we got pulled back in because I got that club rolling, and we got invited to, remodel the next club back in Dallas. And, we bought into that one, but it was brief that, I'd already decided, like in my mid-20s, I know I don't want to be in this industry when I'm over 30, because I was like managing people twice my age. I didn't want to be where they were at, when I was twice my age. And plus it's just it's a hard life. I respect, hospitality workers so much. It's a really, really tough industry. And I think it's tougher than ever, but I knew, I could tell is what was, I knew I was getting pulled in a wrong direction. And, what's interesting is I have some friends, like from Cotton Eye Joe, that first kind of job that pulled me in there. There were 3 brothers that were bartenders there, and they're some of the dearest people I've ever known in my life. And they were very, very good friends to me. And we've been able to reconnect on Facebook, which is really, really awesome. And I had a phone conversation with one of them, maybe, I don't know, 6-8 months ago or so. And, we were talking about those days, and he told me, he was like, Cindy, we worried about you. we worried about you. And I said, I'm sure that you did. And they said, well, he goes, even before we kind of saw you getting kind of pulled in, because they were very disciplined. They'd had alcoholism in their family, like they didn't drink at work or they kind of managed the situation. And I was kind of getting pulled in to all that. And they said they were really concerned. And he said, Cindy, what really concerned us, I might get a little emotional here. They were 3 brothers and they'd had it rough. They'd had it tough. I forget exactly, alcoholism in the family. I think there were some kind of issues. I forget exactly what their mom and dad, and they had to work at an early age. They had to take care of themselves at an early age. This is getting me because my buddy said, Cindy, but we recognize we had those challenges, but we had each other. And he said back then we're like, wow, how does she do this? How does she do this all on her own? And again, I'm processing with you. So this is, it gets me. And again, I'm not getting upset for me. Are you kidding? Oh my gosh. When you get to hear where this comes to and how all this gets used for such amazing good, you won't feel sorry for me one bit. And I don't feel sorry for me. I feel sorry for other people that are dealing with that and they're stuck there like me. I was so confused. I did not understand what was happening. I just knew it wasn't good. It wasn't right. And it's like I was in this constant cycle and did not know how to break the cycle. And I ended up breaking it. Unhealthy people attract unhealthy people. So I ended up breaking it in this unhealthy relationship. And that's where we'll get to with the new segment. Well, we're still kind of in the club era because it was pretty exciting. We invested in a club and we it was the late 80s in Dallas, Texas. And I was getting tired. And it was here I was general manager, big nightclub. And so he went to work in the industry briefly, so we could kind of take care of our investment. And we were just both getting tired of it really, really quickly. And, it's a brutal industry when you get to, especially when you in business, when you get to ownership level and so forth like that. And it's amazing. Here I was 26, maybe I was close to, maybe I was 27. And I was general manager of this high volume upscale nightclub with 60 plus employees. And I sat at a conference table with 9 other male partners, like answering to them and, making decisions and, managing all this. It was a lot of pressure. And it was like everybody just envied me. They're like, wow, look at Cindy. And I was so unhappy and so empty and so miserable. And I wanted out. So when, of course, we'd made a big investment, but and there were people like some of the partners were stealing and all kinds of stuff was going on. But the economy was kind of tanking in Texas about that time. So, like I said, my boyfriend at the time, who became my husband, but this was before he was my husband. We decided that we would travel and follow work out east, so he could go back to ironworking, construction, welding, and so forth like that, and make really good money, and give us a way to kind of get out, kind of pay. We borrowed money to invest. We wanted to get everybody paid back. And I remember just thinking, oh, wow, I can get away from this. And that took us like on a whole nother journey. But that did kind of help me close a book to a chapter that was kind of, it was so awesome, yet, I was so unhappy, so much of the time because there was always this emptiness. I'm trying to process it right now with you. There was just this, I didn't know how to connect. I did not know. I'd never had any kind of real relationship in my life. And later, I find out, that I loved everybody. I loved so much. But if you're not a good receiver, if you don't know how to receive, then you're not loving. That's not love. Love is an exchange. And I had to learn to be a good receiver. And I was still a long ways from that. So I think that's a good place to wrap this one up. That that we'll get to those marriage years, and kind of it'll be interesting, kind of what happens during that time, which leads to hang gliding and all kinds of things. But hey, thank you so much. Like I said, this is real. I'm processing this with you. And again, I've shared on live radio, but I share differently every time. There's so much. There's so many layers to this onion. And, I realize more and get more revelation as I share with you. And I just appreciate you being here and listening so much. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave you with lead with love. You can tell I'm on a journey here, and I didn't know love. I know love now. I know how important it is. I know that I know how empowering love is. And I just want you to go lead with love and seek first to understand. Go make good choices.